Good morning, venerables. Good morning, friends. What a nice morning today. We have a lot of new friends coming to Mava to visit today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And hopefully after today, you won't be a stranger to Mava. Come and visit us often. So I'm the talker today, not necessarily the walker. So I try, trust me, I do try to practice as much as possible. Every year when we do the Dhamma talk by the teachers, our Master Jiru, will assign a topic. So the topic for this year is connecting the Theravada Buddhism with the Mahayana Buddhism. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with all those terminologies, but it doesn't matter. Terms are only words to help us understand the concepts, and the choice is ours. Do we want to practice accordingly? All depends on what are our goals. For college students, are you aiming for A? Are you aiming for B? It's up to us, right? If you're striving for an A, then we know what we need to do. If not, enjoy the college life. Why not? That's how I taught my sons. So, work or not, I'm not sure. At least, they support themselves. That I don't have to worry about, they're making a living or anything like that. So this is a discourse given by the Buddha. It's arranged it and collected in a what we call the connected discourses. Samyutta Nikaya 56.31. And the name of the discourse is called Samsapa Sutta. So one day the Buddha went to the forest with a group of his disciples. So the Buddha bent down and grabbed a handful of leaves on his hand. And he asked his disciple, monks, what do you think? Is the leaf in my hand more or numerable than the leaves in this forest? Which one is more? Of course, the disciple answered, Venerable sir, the leaves in this forest is far more than what you're holding. Then the Buddha said that I teach, my teaching is just like the leaves in my hand. And what I experienced is just like the leaves in this forest. So what I hold in my hand is much fewer than the leaves in the forest. And why? So the Buddha said that what I taught is what it is necessary to get us out of suffering to the other shore of liberation. We'll cut off all the fetters, cut off all the defilements, we'll liberate ourselves. So this is what I taught. This is what the limited discourse that I taught, because they're only useful to liberation. Anything else even though I experienced it, it's not helpful to practice so that we can get out of suffering to the other shore of liberation. So the Buddha only teach what is useful for us for practice so that we can get out of this trouble, these fetters, these defilements, these vexations. So this is what the entire sutra or sutta was telling us. If you're interested, send me a note, I'll send you the file. Or nowadays, Google SN 56.31, then you'll find the sutta. So instead of going through the entire, reading the entire thing, I'm going to skip that and go to the 3 baskets. So what the Buddha taught can be categorized into what we call the 3 baskets of the Buddha's teaching. Number 1 is the discourse. Number 2, well, not in that kind of sequence, but I have to label it somehow, right? So it's sutta, the discourse, the vinaya, the discipline, and the commentary, what we call the Abhidhamma. So 3 baskets, pick 1 or all 3, if you like. A little bit of explanation of what they are. Sutta and Vinaya, at the time of the Buddha, they have certain functions, what they are for. First of all, they are teachings that given in response to the capacity or the need of the practitioner. Say, for example, I come across to the Buddha, and the Buddha looked at me and said, "You're a very greedy person. So this is what you need to get out of your greed." Oh, sometimes you get angry so easily. And this is what you need to get out of anger. So it's a person to person at the situation, at the time for that person. That is when, at the Buddha's time, that is what the Buddha, how the Buddha gave the sermon to each individual, or even the group of individuals. The Vinaya, on the other hand, is like, I'm a disciple of the Buddha. I really like this piece of diamond. So what do I do? And I look around, nobody is watching. Well, so, and that is a no, 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 no. And the Buddha said, hey, look, okay, I have to make a rule. If you're following me as a disciple, as a student, you better follow these rules. Not only to protect those who supposedly or potentially will be harmed by you, but also protect yourself. So that is when the Vinaya, when the discipline was set up by the Buddha for his followers. And if you say that, hey, I'm not a follower of the Buddha, do I care? There is one sentence that get me, or I say trap me into studying the Buddhism. That sentence is, you are answerable for your own action. Nobody is going to pay the due for you. And even if we don't consider we are followers of the Buddha, our action is going to bring results. That is the law. So the difference between the sutta or sutra and Vijnana compared to the commentaries. The commentaries are explanation of the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha sometimes will utter just a very simple phrase, one sentence, and then he'll walk away. So his great disciples will try to explain for those who came and ask questions. And if they don't understand, they try very much to analyze them. So the sutta come first before all the commentaries, because, without the teaching, who's going to make a comment on it, right? And the sutta are discourses of the Buddha answering in accordance, mainly for practice. Commentaries are arranging, selecting, connecting, using different formats like similes, like accounting, like causality, like explanation, all the comments on the Buddha's teaching. So Vijnana, since the topic is between Theravada and Mahayana. Theravada, later on I'll show you the map, how we differentiate the Theravada and Mahayana. So actually, the Vijnana didn't have much difference between the Theravada or the Mahayana. Okay, so this is the map. Okay, the Buddha began with here in India, northern India. Actually, nowadays it's called Nepal, but at the time it's still within the regime of the kingdom in India. So around this area, okay, so he walked up and down the Ganges River for 45 years, teaching, giving sermons. And then later on, after he passed away, then the sutra his teaching of Vijnana got spread all over around the world. This is a clearer map. So starting here in Bodh Gaya, then spread up north to China, and then Korea, Japan, and then another route will be traveling down to Sri Lanka, then back to Burma, back to Thailand. So the boundary is that whatever within, right now we have three kinds of language to study the Buddha's teaching. One is called the Pali Canon. The other one is called the Chinese Canon. And then the third one is called the Tibetan Canon. So when Buddhism spread all around, in the Buddhist community, we all agree with one thing, is that the Pali Canon, whatever travels south to Sri Lanka, is considered the original teaching of the Buddha. That is, tell you why. And after the Buddha passed away, the Sangha community, that means their disciples, divided into two groups. And why? After the Buddha entered the Parinibbana, meaning passed away, then his great disciple named Mahakassapa, he called a group of 500 liberated practitioners, give it a term called the Arahats. So they gathered together and tried to recite what the Buddha taught. The person who recited is Venerable Ananda, who recited the discourses. Another person called Upali, recited the vijnana, the discipline of the Buddha. But then after 100 years after that, what we call the first assembly, there are some of the disciples, a younger, but the bigger group disciples called the Mahasanghikas came along and said, hey, when you did the first assembly, you didn't let me know. But we're also disciples of the Buddha. We're also listening to the Dhamma. Then, this is what the Buddha taught. And why don't you collect them into, the canon or the teaching? So they have different opinions and they split. Now, when they split, the one with the what we call, the Pali canon right now, it's led by Mahakassapa. We call it the elder group. And the other one, we call it the younger, but more numerous group. So one of them is called the Staviras. The other one is the Mahasanghikas. So the two lineage, you can see the red line and the blue line. It's all the way down. Here, you see Theravadan here. Okay. So this is actually from the elder group, the red line all the way down. Now, the Mahasanghikas will see another chart and show you that. So this is more complicated chart. Now, this is the elder group, and then it comes down. Itself split it into two. So this group here comes down all the way down to the Theravadan tradition. Okay, while the Mahasanghika group comes down here and started with another group called Mahasunavadian group. Of course, I'm just saying it in 1, 2, 3 seconds. And right now it's how many 100 years already passed. So to make things more complicated for you guys, I made up some of the chart, and I go back one slide. And this chart, it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a book called The Essence of Agama. And it's in Chinese, unfortunately. I think they're trying to translate them in English. But in the meantime, I haven't seen any like that. So I did a little job of myself. I kind of translated it. So vijnana is the green line, and all these cute little lines here are actually the discourses. Remember what I said? Who recited the sutta, the discourse? Great job. So he recited, the first one is called the Samyutta Nikaya, connected discourse. So it started from here. And then the Samyutta Nikaya, they have verses, they have journals, they have, very many cutie little things in there that, it becomes very interesting. Very hard. I tried. So, and then out of them, the verses become a Digha Nikaya. And all the journals becomes either, if by the disciple, it becomes the Majjhima Nikaya. If it's by the Buddha itself, it's called the Anguttara Nikaya. Okay, and it's spread out later on to mantras. Mantras like in the Heart Sutra, you hear Gade, Gade, Bara, Gade, Bara, San, Gade. Those are mantras. But, those are not songs, okay? Don't just sing it, but make sure you understand what they're saying. So the next one is getting even more complicated, but I'll make it fast because my time is running out. So if you're interested, again, come and grab a copy from me. Trust me, I did my very best to translate from the little bitty Chinese character into this chart. I work hard on it. So this is the chart that tells us each time when people get together like us, well, the sanghas get together, when they have a summer retreat, they try to refresh their memories of what the Buddha taught, try to write it down, record it, compile it, so that here, at this time, we can learn from it. Okay, so it's all the way down to, I have 4 charts. I'm trying to confuse myself and you with that. Now, it comes down when it passed down, traveling north to China. There are 10 schools established based on the Buddha's teaching. They start with the courses called Abhidhamma courses school, and then they come down to the Xiǎnzhì school or the nzhi school, okay? Then Venerable Master Insun kind of nailed it down into 3 major concepts. One is what we call the Madhyamaka, emphasize on emptiness. Emptiness of what? Emptiness of this body and mind, emptiness of external environment, emptiness even of the teaching itself. So Madhyamika focus on emptiness. Yogacara, it's also called mere consciousness, mind only. This school is trying to answer a question like, if Buddhism is talking about non-self, there are no such thing as this self, then who is going through the samsara? Who is going to take responsibility of their actions? So this school is trying to answer that question. So it come up to the 6th consciousness, 7th consciousness, 8th consciousness. Very complicated, but very interesting. And then the third one, everybody likes this. It's called the, what is it called? Oh, I forgot. No, it's called the Buddha nature, okay? Every single person here, we have the Buddha nature. We are becoming the Buddha eventually, one of these days. So bow down to 3 schools. And then the first school is called the Tathagata Garbha. Okay, everybody got the Buddha nature. All we need is, then why are we so confused at this point? It's because we consider the things are real. It's illusion, delusion that blinds our mind. So our true nature is not revealed. So for 5 minutes, any question?
But if this assembly here, I believe, is considered Mahayana. So I wonder if you know if would it be all of these or one particular school of Mahayana, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Would it be Yogacara or one Tagatha something like that? Are they all practiced at one time or necessarily, or is this assembly a combination of all?
Excellent question. Can we practice them all at one time? Yes and no. Why yes? If we decided to go to, there are actually 3 paths to practice, okay? One is we practice to be a good person, so that eventually, we will have a better environment for practice. The other one is called the path of liberation. Hey, this life, this world is so much suffering. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to get out, period. Path of liberation. The third part is called the bodhisattva part. I see myself suffering and I got out of it. And I look back and say, oh, there are still people struggling and swimming. So what do I do? No. I can't just stay on the shore myself. I have to go back and say, hey, do you need a help? Do you need a helping hand? How can I help you? So if we are practicing the bodhisattva path, all of it. If we're just, saying that, I don't care. I'm up, hey, bye, adios, amigo. I'm gone. Then choose one and practice, right? So if I'm saying that I like this world so much, I enjoy the good food, I have good family, I drive a Mercedes, I live in a mansion. So why do I want to get out? Right? Then my goal is different. So I'm saying that, how can I stay back here? 2 ways, two kinds of practice. Generosity and morality. That is going to get you stay. You can't get out of the circle of rebirth by only doing that. Of course, those are the beginners, we have to start from somewhere. We have to start from freshman before we go to sophomore, right? So that is the way to do it. That is the answer, yes and no. All depends on which path. One more thing to remind everybody. The path of the Mahayana practice focus on the bodhisattva path a lot. It's not a different sect. It's not a different school of thought. It practices the same thing, except that they emphasize on just this person. I look around. I see people who need help. That is the bodhisattva's path. Make sense? So thank you very much and welcome to Maba again. Don't be a stranger from today onward. Thank you. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be liberated. Thank you all.